Hello and welcome to the Online Poker Show. Another Sunday Million highlights package for you. I'm Nick Wealthall, bringing you action from the 7th of April, where 8,173 runners rocked up and paid the $215 that would generate that enormous $1.634 million. Absolutely ridiculous that we do this on a weekly basis. Only at PokerStars. 150,000, 300,000 blinds. We're diving straight into the action. Hand number one. No household names on the final table, but someone's about to become one. Sunday Million champ is not to be sneezed at. They can never take it away from you. You are allowed to spend the money all in one night if you want a really good time, or an average time in London. Maerti, or Maerti, has opened the action here with Queen 10 of diamonds. One of those slightly dodgy stacks to make an open with. Around about 20 big blinds. Flat called by VanDobeln in position. And you don't want to be out of position with Queen 10 and 19 big blinds. That's my tournament tip for you. If you are in this position, try not to be. Let's see what the flop brings. Not too much help for Maerti. Lots of help for VanDobeln. Top two for the Finnish player. And Maerti will not make a continuation bet, which is interesting. VanDobeln will slow play. So check on the flop. Pretty dry board, I guess. Nothing for VanDobeln to really worry about. Now Maerti will have a little bet. I have ace-king, really. I checked the flop for deception, but I have ace-king. VanDobeln makes the raise, and that should be all she wrote. It's not all she wrote. There's more to be written. Maerti with a surprising call on the turn. Must be planning to bluff this river. Strange, yeah, exactly that. Shoves the river, and, well, you'd be shocked if VanDobeln did anything but snap call. He does. And Maerti makes a really creative play on the first hand of the final table, and it blows up in his face. I salute you, sir. You've gone out in style. Better to die fighting than live a day on your knees, or something. I think that's a Klingon phrase. I'll check that later. Hand number two. We're now eight-handed after Maerti leaves us with $12,600 for his final table appearance. Brief but charismatic, as it was. And Ace-Jack is doing the rounds. Filthy minx. Holly 17 has Ace-Jack, so does TroizeN. And TroizeN's going to 3-bet with it. And this is kind of tough for Holly 17. Before the action gets brown, though, Gabiru has the fours but doesn't decide to get involved. Holly 17, your chip leader, as you can see, has TroizeN well covered. TroizeN with the effective stack, around about 30 big blinds. How do you play Ace-Jack in this spot? You've raised and you've been 3-bet. It's not easy, is it? Flat call here, it's just really gross. What do you do on the flop unless you really kill it? If you 4-bet, are you really happy getting it in here for 30 odd big blinds? Well, that's what Holly 17's done. I think TroizeN might just fold it, but we'll see. Both have the same hand. It's a game of pre-flop chicken. And TroizeN does fold. And Holly 17 may have been value betting, may have been bluffing. We'll never know. It's a win. That's all they count at the end of the day. The UK player sits atop the leaderboard with over 20 million. VanDobeln in second. And Lil Bulldog 16 rounds off the podium table. But a big move by Gabiru over the next few hands takes him up onto your podium. Pretty big spread of stacks. You can see the two obvious short stacks. Karagounis and Pompaaci. 200,000, 400,000 are the blinds. We play hand number 11. So those two short stacks under the 10 big blind level. Looking to find something to get the money in with. Lil Bulldog 16 has the two black 10s. Good for a raise. Not as good as 2 black aces. TroizeN in an amazing position here. Just having a little think about this. Have roughly the same chip stack as Little Bulldog. Most of the time just going to re-raise here and try and get the money in, but every once in a while player will slow play. Not this time. TroizeN from Canada with the Rockets and the 3-bet. Time for what would you do again in Little Bulldog's situation. Tough to fold pocket tens for that size stack, isn't it? Especially against an active player. We've already seen TroizeN 3-bet once this final table. Just an unfortunate situation for Little Bulldog. I'm saying I'm shoving. Don't know what you think. I think you have to. Little Bulldog will flat call. I was never doing that, for the record. 4.8 million in the middle. And time to play the guessing game for Little Bulldog. Pocket tens, 1 over card. You've been 3-bet. I don't know. It's the poker lottery, isn't it? Are you ahead or behind? Good luck figuring it out. Not much chip maneuverability to do so. 7.5 million and 4.8 million. So we'll try a little lead out bet, see what happens here. Well, TroizeN has options now. If he views that bet as weak, he might just flat call. If he thinks Little Bulldog is bluffing or just trying to steal the pot in some way with a semi-bluff or whatever, yeah, he does just flat call. I think it's a nice play by him. Try and get the rest of the money in on the turn. That's probably the one card that will scare him. Little Bulldog immediately shoves. Don't think TroizeN could possibly fold here. No, he puts the money in. Thank goodness for him. 18 million in the middle. Little Bulldog down to 2 outs on this river. Pretty big pot for this stage of the game. 9 looks exciting, but it's 1 pip short. And TroizeN winning a big one, up to over 18 million. That one crippled Little Bulldog 16, and he would shortly be out. $18,700 for 8th place as the money jumps start to kick in. I can tell you $245,000 up top. And spoiler alert, there will be no deal. This one is for all the marbles and $245,000. Tens for Pompaaci, the short stack. Lucky to get a hand this good with that few chips and to have a raise in front from ace-5. There's bad news, but I was building up to that. Bad news is TroizeN, he of the big pocket pairs, has got a couple of cowboys. And he's having a little think about this. Gabiru with 9 million is what he's thinking about. He knows Pompaaci's got his money in. Doesn't have to think too hard about that. But does he re-raise or flat call? He goes for the flat call, trying to entice Gabiru to get involved, or even better, make a move at the pot. But it's not going to happen. Just under 7 million in the middle, and it's for Pompaaci's life. And these players are learning pocket tens just isn't enough to play a pot with TroizeN. He has the only spade, so Pompaaci needs the 10 of hearts. Exactly 10 of hearts. Here it comes. That is not it. That is not it. Tough to do that one, isn't it? Pompaaci has a great run through this tournament. 7th place is where it ends, though, for the German player. $32,690, swelling his bankroll, and we're 6-handed in the million. Reminding you that these players have come through a field of more than 8,000 in this weekly tournament, and an amazing achievement to reach the final table. Must be really, really weird to go out in kind of 7th, 8th, 9th, because obviously you've made a huge amount of money for $215, but you've come so close to mega money. Be grateful for what you have got. That's the lesson, kids. Karagunis is all in here, as now the shortest stack on the table. And TroizeN, it looks like, is just going to knock everybody out one at a time. It's just like a dismantling job. Hasn't called yet, needs to do it. He does, and he's the favourite here. Karagunis trying to survive, needs kings and queens. or stuff connected to kings and queens. Has the straight draw. Ace high still winning this one. And it gets to the river, so Karagounis gets full value for his short stack sweat, but he is out at the hands of the murderous TroizeN, who's rattling through this final table at high speed. Well, if you'd like to do what he's doing, we'd love you to play the Sunday Million and have a free shot at doing it on us. Follow the Tourney free roll tab, find the Online Poker Show free roll, and I'll give you the password later in the show.
Rafa Nadal, 11-time Grand Slam champion, versus Lucia Arroyo. In the town pillow fight of 2009, she was runner-up. We are competition anytime. We are poker.
She didn't actually win that hand. Rafa Nadal just had his FaceTime camera on, so that's what she was celebrating. Lucky lady. TroizeN is your chip leader. Holly 17 is second. 2 big stacks as we go through to hand 40. And 3 smaller ones, but the blinds are getting up there and things can change very, very quickly. Only 40 hands into this final table, we've lost 4 new friends. 250,000, 500,000 are the blinds. So Gabiru and Zolisza here, both relatively short stacked. Gabiru will make a normal raise with the 7s. Might have thought of shoving. And now gets shoved on. Zolisza sees an opportunity. The blinds both fold. And what's Gabiru's thinking here? He's not going to fold the 7s. And we're going to play a pot between the 2 short stacks. Vital for both of them. It's more or less a flip. 7s with the slight edge, and they still have it through the flop. Zolisza, very few chips left. Gabiru all in. Zolisza needs a jack or an 8. Or Gabiru's going to double up. And there's the 8 ball on the river. Zolisza jumps out of his seat and gets back in this tournament. Gabiru 0-1 finishes 5th. The Brazilian takes home $65,384 in change. A huge prize for a $215 buy-in, and leaves us 4-handed with things a lot tighter. Now, VanDobeln is your short stack, but everybody has over 20 big blinds, so we may see a little bit of poker here. Not if we keep dealing ace-queen versus ace-king, of course. That's going to make things a little bit more violent. TroizeN has really had some cards at this final table, hasn't he? Kings, aces, and now ace-king. Our chip leader makes the 3-bet. And Zolisza has, well, still more than 30 big blinds behind, so you may see a flat call here. Probably doesn't think TroizeN is only 3-betting really strong hands. I mean, he always has a really strong hand. No, in goes the money. No messing about. And TroizeN has to make a pretty easy call here with ace-king and gets his money in good again. So Zolisza must do what 3 players have failed to do, which is take a worse hand up against TroizeN into the flop and make it win. Don't know how you make it win. Screw up your eyes and clench your teeth and hope. 9 of clubs is no good. Zolisza needs a queen or his race is run. That looks like a queen. Just checking. It is a queen. Finally, TroizeN's big hand loses. And you can see how quickly things change. He was the chip leader. He's now one of the shortest stacks, right down to 3rd place. Zolisza was a short stack all in with jack 8 offsuit. Now, after a couple of big pots, is your chip leader. Fast and furious here, 4-handed with big blinds in the million. TroizeN has another big hand. Will this one hold up? Under 20 big blinds now, so we'll happily get the money in with jacks. Zolisza with the 3-bet. The blinds look like they'll fold, and they do. And what does TroizeN do here? It's a chance for revenge against Zolisza, who is the reason he's in this shorter stack situation. TroizeN does go all in, and Zolisza has to call 7.5 million to win about 13. Pretty straightforward stuff. Zolisza with the ace overcard, TroizeN all in with the best hand, fine through the flop. And the turn is a little bit wobbly. Zolisza can now hit a king to make Broadway. But the 3 of spades is no help. And TroizeN's jacks hold up. Another big pot. Back and forth they go. TroizeN and Zolisza now both over 20 million. And VanDobeln still your short stack. Things getting more precarious for the Finnish player. Finds king-queen on the button. Makes a... well, 3 times the big blind raised. Then if he's trying to get a worse hand to shove on him here, trying to make it look like he's buying the blinds maybe. Being a little bit unlucky to run into a hand as strong as jacks. However, he is in a flip here, assuming that he puts the money in. In it goes. Holly 17 has to tidy this up by putting another couple of million, and we'll play for VanDobeln's tournament life. We did it very slowly, didn't we? We're still doing it, apparently. Another 50,000. Yes, Holly's going to call. Thought it was in doubt for a minute. King, queen suited versus jacks. Classic stuff. VanDobeln in trouble here. No help through the flop. Jack's still in front. And the turn is no help. Only a king or queen on the river. Finds a king. Second time a short stack has wriggled free of the noose. VanDobeln doubles up, doubles through Holly 17, and we're still four-handed in the million.
We are anticipation. Committed. Anonymous. Focused. Holding it in. We are poker.
Welcome back to the final table of the Sunday Million. As promised, here's your online poker show free roll. The password is Uruguay. Uruguay, all lowercase. 11th of April at 3:35 Eastern Standard Time is when that kicks off. Got a million kicking off right here. It's been pretty violent, lots of back and forths, and some quick eliminations have left these four players. Zolisza, who would build his chip lead to over 30 million in his stack. VanDobeln in second after catching that miracle river. TroizeN is third, and Holly 17 from the UK is in fourth spot. Big money jumps, and as I told you near the top of the show, no deal at this final table. Pretty unusual these days, the players playing for everything, which is, I guess, that little bit more exciting. VanDobeln is going to slow play here. Interesting stuff with the pocket queens. Maybe slightly surprising, given that Zolisza has been reasonably active and is in the cutoff. 3-bet wouldn't necessarily look like a strong hand, but VanDobeln going for the smooth call, perhaps hoping that one of the shorter stacks would move in behind or something. And freakishly, we're going to be three-handed to the flop. Doesn't happen too often at this stage. No help for anyone. TroizeN, I guess, with the most help, he catches a gut shot straight draw. Zolisza, as the pre-flop raiser, almost obliged to bet a king-high flop. 5.5 million in the middle, and the bet is for 2.1. VanDobeln will call once. Now, this is interesting if Zolisza stays aggressive, because it's obviously perfectly possible for him to have a king. And we'll see how committed VanDobeln is to these queens and this slow play. Question is, does Zolisza keep firing or does he give up? He has caught a little bit more equity. He can catch a queen, although we can see that's unlikely. He can catch a queen for a straight, and he is going to fire again. So putting VanDobeln to the test, and VanDobeln folds. The catastrophe of the slow play. Slow playing yourself into oblivion. It's always been a little bit too complicated for me. Good hand equals bet. I'm a simple soul. Hand 99, 400,000, 800,000 blinds. And Holly 17 with just 11 big blinds left. Your short stack doesn't want to play this one. So it's folded round to TroizeN in the small blind. And these two old friends, all right, enemies, will go at it again. We've seen 2 or 3 encounters between them. Looks like we're going to get another one in the blinds. Zolisza will flat call and play the hand in position. But it's TroizeN that has the best hand after that flop. Catches middle pair. Things could still get a little bit tricky for him though, couldn't they? Slightly funky stack. And it's hardly the nuts. So interesting to see what he does. He's going to start out by betting. Well, Zolisza might just give up. But it's an interesting flop to call, isn't it? We are in the blinds. TroizeN would probably bet this flop with 100% of the hands he's raised with pre-flop, good and bad. And there's a lot of cards that Zolisza can represent on the turn. And TroizeN might just give up on the turn. So yeah, Zolisza does call. Can actually catch a 9 for a straight as well. 3 of diamonds gives Zolisza the jack-high flush draw to go with the 9 for a straight. Or a jack would also give him the best hand. And this is where it gets really weird for TroizeN. This is where good tournament players really have an edge over struggling tournament players. They know what to do with different stack sizes and they know how to keep out of really difficult situations. This one is bordering on that. 7.5 million in the middle, and TroizeN with a hand with some strength, but not one that he's going to be delighted about getting his money in for. He decides to check. Now, how does Zolisza play this? Just bet the turn, bet the river. Well, there's the turn bet. 3.4 million. And TroizeN's problem is the classic no-limit hold'em dilemma. His problem is, I could well be winning here, but if I call this bet, am I calling for everything on the river if the board doesn't change and he puts me all in? So there's the call, and this could be a fun river, especially if Zolisza's hand doesn't improve. And it doesn't. So what now? 14 million in the middle. Zolisza knows he can't win if he checks. Does he think he can get TroizeN to fold on the 4 of hearts river card? TroizeN will check. And Zolisza's thinking, how strong can his hand be? So tough not to bet here. And he does put TroizeN to the decision. So this is a great one. TroizeN having to call off for his entire stack in the Sunday Million final table, and he can't do it. Great play from Zolisza. That's some power poker right there. And that shows you the power of position and the big stack. He could put TroizeN to a decision for his whole tournament. And what's TroizeN going to do with a short stack and the big money jump? So hard for him to call. Great tournament hand that. Lots to unpack in it. Go back and watch it again. I think it's really, really instructive one. On we go. TroizeN now short stacked. Has to shove on the button. And he's been unlucky here. VanDobeln with a really big hand. Just has to make an easy call and TroizeN's in trouble. Has the ace working. But that's a nice flop for VanDobeln, who has the full house. 17.5 million in the middle. Looks like it's going to go into VanDobeln's stack. TroizeN heading for the exit door unless he catches the miracle. It doesn't arrive. And just like that, bang, bang, 2 pots and TroizeN is out. Looked at one stage like he was going to steamroller the entire final table, but the Canadian has to settle for 4th. $82,000 and change for him. And we're 3-handed in the million. Hand 109 now, and Holly 17 is shoving. Has actually jumped up 1 place. Been a short stack for a while, but now needs some help. Getting in with the best hand here, Zolisza with the King Jack and the pretty routine call. Holly needs to double up here and then win a couple more, but this is the start point. Just needs to get through the river. And the 3 of spades is a nice blank, so does that, doubles up, and is fighting hard to get back into this one. Three-handed in the Sunday Million. All of these players guaranteed $122,000. Big, big money. No deal at this final table. There's still over $120,000 of difference between third and first. Just put yourself in their position and imagine playing for all that cash for just a few tournament decisions. It's either fun or terrifying or both, I reckon. 500,000, 1 million are the blinds. So Holly opening on the button with 21 big blinds. VanDobeln getting jacks on a regular basis, which is nice. Especially when that happens. Zolisza with the shove, and you can understand the action. Zolisza just unlucky that VanDobeln has this big hand and it makes an easy call. We've got a big pot here. 43 million in it. VanDobeln's tournament life on the line, but with by way the better hand. Zolisza looking for a 7 or running cards. Well, that's a great card for him. Picks up the flush draw and the straight draw. VanDobeln with the sweat, and he gets it home. Jacks hold. Big, big pot. Biggest of the tournament so far, and it vaults VanDobeln to the chip lead. 43 million, more than half the chips in play. Hand 1-3-1. Holly and Zolisza more or less the same chip stacks. VanDobeln with the chip lead. Holly will again make a min raise open on the button, and you'd guess we're going to see the money go in here. VanDobeln will put the money in. Can't imagine Holly 17 is going to fold. Nope, there it goes. We're going to have a classic race, and this is almost for the tournament. VanDobeln will go into heads up with a huge chip lead if the ace-king wins, and it looks like it's going to. King on the flop. Holly 17 in mortal danger, facing the exit door. Only a 7 for the UK player. And the king makes trips for VanDobeln, confirms him the massive chip leader in heads up, and Holly 17 finishes third. A great run through the tournament, $122,000 in prize money, and we're playing heads up. And these two facing off for more than $65,000 just on this heads up battle. Extraordinary stuff. Zolisza with the mission to turn this round, and this could be a good way to start. VanDobeln is going to shove, which is perfectly reasonable with an ace heads up against Zolisza's chip stack, but Zolisza has the goods. Calls with pocket tens and is a big favourite here, but is the all-in player. If these tens don't hold, this one is over. If they do, we're going to see a heads up battle, and not a bad flop for the tens. VanDobeln looking for that ace. 6 of clubs doesn't change anything. Just an ace on the river to end it. Doesn't come, so we'll play again. And we've got a different battle now. 48 million plays 33 million. Pretty close together, aren't they? Anyone's Sunday million. Hand 1-5-4. VanDobeln's chipped up a little bit over Zolisza, but one double up from Zolisza, and he has the chip lead. We'll see a flop with Zolisza with ace-9 on the button. And a fun flop. Straight draw for Zolisza and the overcards. VanDobeln with a big, big hand. Top and bottom pair for 2 pair. Decides to check. And Zolisza could just take a free card, but will actually bet. 1.6 million. Now, how does VanDobeln want to play this one? He's going to check raise. Zolisza has to call 3.2 here with the open-ended straight draw. You'd thought that we'll at least be calling. Not completely impossible that he plays even more aggressively. I haven't actually seen VanDobeln check raise, I don't think, on this final table. Zolisza might have seen him do it. And Zolisza will take the aggressive line, puts the money in with the big draw. VanDobeln with the easy call. And if this hand holds, VanDobeln is going to be your champion. 2 pair versus the straight draw. Zolisza hoping for help, but it doesn't come. Instead, we lock this one up. 8 makes VanDobeln a full house. A fantastic win for the Finnish player. Zolisza finishes in second. And VanDobeln, who was nearly out when we were four-handed, caught that miracle king on the river. uses that to catapult him to a big win. $245,000, one of the biggest winning cashes we've seen for some time on the million. No deal, but a huge amount of cash heading to Helsinki in the hands of VanDobeln. Zolisza in second, and Holly 17 rounds off your podium. A really fun final table, some fast all-in, some great action, and one really fascinating hand when we were four-handed. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. For everyone at PokerStars.tv, there'll be another million next week. You take good care.